Hey everyone, Seth with Everyman Prepping. How's everybody doing today on Friday? And we have a lot of big stories to talk about today. As usual, a lot of stories come out on Friday because they can dump the stories out there, and then the weekend hits and people start thinking about football and their kids' sport events and whatever. And especially with Trump being in office now, we've got big stories every day. So I want to get into some of those, especially today. There's a lot of stuff to go over today. Some big things happening announced today. They're going to take effect tomorrow, which are going to financially and maybe other ways affect you. So let's go ahead and dig into it. And you know what, before we start talking about this, before this first story here, there's more of a little lighthearted story. Not really lighthearted, but meaningful, but not so meaningful. Anyway, it's winter, almost February. Gardeners out there, make sure you start thinking about your garden. Do you need seeds? Do you need bare root trees right now? Fruit trees, grapes, berries, anything like that. Something you should pick up now. Do you need to go and order your seed potatoes? Any other items you need to start your plantings? Do you have your grow lights and your containers and all that? I know some of you in the North, Midwest are like, hey man, I'm not doing that for 3 months. Start thinking about it anyway. Other of you in the South, on the West Coast, you're going to need to start thinking about that pretty soon. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of anxiety, tension, things in the world. Don't forget about your planning for your garden because other people won't, and they're going to buy the stuff before you. And as you'll see coming up here in a few stories, things might be a lot more expensive coming up soon. So gather that stuff now, get that out of the way. And let's start looking at this. Let's go ahead and start looking at this first story. We have Trump ordered federal employees to scrap pronouns in their email signatures. Is this earth-shattering or anything? No, but what it does, it's hopefully a return to normalcy, really. We don't care what you call yourself, just sign your name and go to work. And by the way, go to work means go to the office. The Trump put out an executive order. Work for the federal government, guess what? You have to actually go into work like all normal people do. The federal government spends a lot of money on these buildings with upkeep and maintenance and utilities. And you know what? Instead of, sitting at home on your couch, pretend you're doing email and you're watching some, housewives of the NBA or whatever you're doing and baking cookies, why not, earn that paycheck and go into work? No, it's not everybody. Of course, don't want to put a blanket statement, but that goes on. So anyway, get back to work, people. Yeah, moving on from there, we have this. We have the Secretary of Defense, the brand new Pete. He came out and he said the worst of the worst are going to go to Guantanamo Bay. He didn't say that. Trump put that out too, but that's great. They can hold 30,000 people. These other countries don't want these hardened criminals. We definitely don't want them inside the United States. So got this big old prison sitting in Cuba. Might as well use it. Put them in there, lock them up, and then, decide what to do with them from that point. They do some jail time, maybe then they go back to their own country, but let's get them out of the United States. Let's protect our country, our kids, our ladies, our families, all that stuff. Now, let's start getting into this. So this here is the video. Let's roll it back a little bit. This is some new video that came out, I'll start it here, of the crash, the collision. You're going to see the news say that it was a plane crash, or the plane hit the helicopter. Well, I have a different point of view. This doesn't pass the smell test with me. This doesn't sit right. You're going to see here, that helicopter basically T-boned, in my opinion, that aircraft, the American Airlines flight, and crashed in the Potomac. It didn't change direction, didn't see it. You got some guys that flew, that are coming out saying, I flew Black Hawks, I trained people at night, it's hard to see, mistakes happen. Okay, I can understand that. But then you also have Lockheed Martin coming out saying, just a month ago at a trade show, hey, we can remotely pilot these Blackhawks, And so there's that aspect. And there's the nefarious, was this a assassination thing, a suicide attempt, show of force, something like that, retaliation. We need to see the list of everybody on the plane. And we've seen some, it's tragic, the ice skaters and everybody in there. We gonna know who's on that helicopter? It was a continuity of government training flight. At least that's what they're saying. So, not sure why you're doing that, at night in a heavily populated civilian aircraft area. I know you need to train at night. I was in the military. I understand that's the advantage, warfighter, nighttime training. But how about we do what we don't involve civilians, in aircraft? Why don't we train where there's no possibility of that? Then, as you get more experience, then you come in that area. But it just seems very off. Anyway, let's look at the new video here. I'm going to play it really quick. Let me turn the volume off there. You can see this is the helicopter. It's coming in, and as you can see, right into the plane. In fact, let me run it back over again. We can see it. Let me just back it up a little bit, and I'm going to make it a little bigger, see if that's any better to see. But as you can see here, That helicopter, it's coming in, and it's going to go right into the plane. And then you can see after that, the helicopter falls first over here, and then the plane comes second, right into the Potomac. So hopefully find out more about what happened and why. You can check out my X account, and you can watch this video and other stuff I post on it. It's just Everyman Prepper, not Everyman Prepping. That's too long for X. So Everyman Prepper. Find it out there, and you can check out all my posts I put. Join me there too. I put a lot of stuff there that you can't put here on YouTube, or bad things happen to your account. All right, moving on from that, we have Iran. I was posting about this today, thinking about it. It's been pretty quiet from Iran, North Korea, China. Dealing with Taiwan. They've been pretty quiet from those three. Axis of resistance, or whatever you want to call those. Whatever they name themselves. But we got Iran coming out this morning saying, hey, United States and Israel, if you come out and attack our nuclear sites, it's going to be all-out war. And, United States and Israel are like, what are you talking about? We're not even thinking about that. Israel would love to do that. Why do you think they are, stopping things with Hezbollah signing, ceasefire there? And then now we're doing the Gaza ceasefire. And they've already taken over Syria. So they've stopped all the local, they basically, are quelling all the local, border nations from attacking them. They're quelling that so they can go after Iran. They know Iran is the support of all those. They know that, that's their biggest enemy, and they'd love to take out the nuclear sites. And Iran, I think, is sensing that, that they're next on the list. And they're saying, hey, if you do, watch out. As you can see from here, we got the Sun put this out. You can see that, they show a ballistic missile. I don't know if it'd be that or F-35s, what Israel would use, or United States. But we got 5 sites here in Israel that they would go after. Not in Israel. 5 sites in Iran, they're nuclear sites that they would go after. I don't know if they're deep, and if they're so deep they couldn't affect them or not. But that's the next thing to come. So keep your eye on that. Moving on from that, let's talk about the tariffs and what Trump said about the BRICS. We're going to talk about the other tariffs in Canada, Mexico, and China in a minute, because that's going to directly affect your prices. This is what Trump put out on his Truth Social network. He says that if any of these BRICS countries, if they create their own common currency, or they back another currency like the yuan or the ruble and trade in that, they will face 100% tariffs. And he says you'll say goodbye to selling to the the wonderful U.S. economy. There's a lot with this statement. Okay, if you put 100% tariffs on all the BRICS nations, which have most of the population in the world, with India and China, they have the greatest GDP and all that combined. If you 100% tariff everything there, you know who's going to suffer? Us, me and you. The Americans are going to suffer. We're going to have to pay so much. Things are going to be so costly. You're not going to be able to buy hardly anything. Most people won't be able to buy anything at all. You're going to have what you have on hand. So that's part of my thing. Say if you're planning on gardening and prepping or whatever, you might want to get the stuff now rather than later. So would even attempt to do this. I mean, it would crush the American economy, crush everything in the United States if you did 100% tariffs. And I think BRICS knows that, and they're going to call us bluff. And as you can see here, from Reuters, you see the Kremlin brushes off Trump tariff threat to BRICS, says no plan for a common currency, which I believe is totally true. They're probably not going to have a common currency because they'll trade in their own currencies, or they'll trade in maybe just the yuan, or they'll trade in commodities. Now Trump said, hey, I'll tariff 100% on them if they even trade, if Russia and China do a deal and they trade in rubles, I'm going to tariff you. If Egypt or Ethiopia trade, in their currency straight over to the yuan to China, they're going to tariff those guys. What if they trade in silver and gold? He's going to tariff them then also? I mean, that's a big call for Trump to put out there. I just don't see it happening. It's more of a threat than anything, and I don't think BRICS is afraid. I really don't think. They know they're stronger. They know they're stronger than the dollar, and they want to destroy the dollar. So this is looming. This is going to come. This is not immediate. But what is immediate is, here we go. Let's scroll up here. This. The 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico and 10% on China. Reuters said it's going to be March 1st. Then the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, I believe her name is, she came out and said, no, that's wrong. It's going February 1st. It's going tomorrow. It's, recording this video is January 31st. Tomorrow's the 1st. So, tariffs start tomorrow. We get a lot of stuff, a lot of lumber, a lot of other stuff. Mexico has a lot of stuff, especially food imports to us. 25%, things going to be a lot more expensive because these American corporations, these importers, they're not going to say, for the good of the Americans, we've got to keep costs low because people need to feed their families and buy clothing and repair, remodel, whatever item it is. They're not going to say, we need to help the Americans. No, they're going to say we need to make our profits. We need our stock to go up. We need to support Wall Street. They're going to pass that 25% on to me and you, and we're going to suffer. And you're going to suffer until more manufacturing comes back in the United States. Same with that 10% to China. You ever been to Walmart? Most things come from China, right? Can you afford 10% more on everything you buy? That's going to be tough. The only way around that is, like I said, you manufacture more stuff here. But you know what? There's food growing here in the United States, or fish caught, and they ship it to China, processed, packaged, shipped back here. So it's cheap enough to do that as opposed to just doing it in the United States. So do we need deregulation here? Do we need some other cost-cutting measures by the government to get out of the way of manufacturing here? Yes, all that needs to happen. It's going to be painful in the immediate short term, though. So get your stuff now, whatever it is. We'll see tomorrow. They're going to put a list out, and there's going to be exemptions. We shall see. It says here, there could be exemptions for oil and gas because the United States does get a good amount of oil and gas. I think, does this say how much we get here? Let's see, we scroll down. Let's see. The United States imports 4.6 million barrels of oil from Canada and 563,000 barrels from Mexico a day. Can the U.S. production, take over that amount? Eventually, when they ramp up, they can. They're going to drill, baby, drill. But, oil and gas, oil, fuel costs, they go up. Gasoline gets more expensive. Any petroleum product gets more expensive. So, this is supposed to happen tomorrow. We'll get the list. So, plan accordingly. Buy stuff now. And how we know that people are getting, people in the know, the bankers, the Wall Street guys, how we know that it's probably going to happen? Well, you got the price of silver and gold. So gold, 2,800, all-time high. It was even higher earlier. It came down a little bit. Silver doing great too, even though you've seen the paper market push it way down. But silver and gold, precious metals are telling you that tariffs are coming. And that, people fear where to put their money because things are going to go, inflation is going to go up. Speaking of gold, the London Gold Bank has run out of gold, it seems like. They say they can't make deliveries for 8 to 10 weeks. They used to be, very rapid. You want your gold, they ship it to you. And I guess they say there's so many exports going to the banks in New York. Everybody wants their gold. Remember, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Whether that's your silver, your gold, your crypto, your brass and lead, any of that stuff. If you just have a piece of paper that says you own it, you don't own anything. So, the rich, the powerful, they know this. So they're trying to put their physical hands on it. So they're ordering all the gold. And as we know, the paper market, they've leased out more gold. There's more paper derivatives than their actual physical. And this could cause huge financial issues as well. So that's all I have. Hopefully you got something out of this. If you have any comments, write them below. Subscribe, share the video, all that great stuff. But I guess you'd say I'm excited to see what these tariffs are going to happen tomorrow, what the reaction is. And excited doesn't have to be in a good way. It's excited more in a way of, what do we do now? Did we plan enough? Do we have enough stuff? Well, what's the reaction going to be from the retail sector? So big things are going to happen this weekend. Go to your soccer games, do your stuff but just keep your ears to the news. If you want to, like I said, follow my X account, Everyman Prepper. I put up stuff I see all the time. You can follow along stuff there, all news stories, and see if I get stuff about what's happening financially. I'll let you know. But until next time, keep your ear to the ground and head on a swivel.